The stars looked different from space. Captain Ethan Wright pressed his hand against the viewing window of the luminary ship Starlight Seeker. After 15 years in the Earth Space Force, he thought he knew what to expect. He was wrong. The luminary. Aliens had come to Earth 6 months ago. Their ships appeared suddenly in Earth's orbit one morning. People panicked at first. Some thought it was the end of the world. But the luminary sent peaceful messages. They wanted to be friends. Ethan remembered watching the news that day. The luminary looked almost human, but their skin glowed with a soft blue light. They stood taller than humans, with long limbs and large, kind eyes. They spoke perfect English, having learned it from Earth's radio and TV signals. Now Ethan served as the human liaison on this luminary ship. The Earth government chose him because of his combat experience and calm manner. Someone who wouldn't panic around aliens, they said. Someone who could handle the unknown. "Captain Wright, may I join you?" a gentle voice asked. Ethan turned to C. Kellar, the luminary science officer. Kellar's blue glow pulsed slightly with each word. "Of course," Ethan said, moving aside. "And please call me Ethan." Kellar nodded. "The view calms you?" "It reminds me how small we are," Ethan said, "and how much we don't know. Yet you humans face the unknown with such courage," Kellar said. "My people have traveled space for 1,000 years, yet we still fear what we might find." Ethan looked at the alien with surprise. "You, afraid? Your ships can travel between stars in days. Your medicine can cure almost any disease. What do the luminary fear?" Kellar's glow dimmed slightly. "The Vex. You've mentioned them before," Ethan said. "Who are they?" "Hunters," Kellar said simply. "They take what they want. They kill what they don't need." A chill ran down Ethan's spine. The luminary rarely spoke about the Vex, but when they did, their light always dimmed. "Have you fought them?" Ethan asked. Kellar shook his head. "Luminari do not fight. We hide. We run. The Vex are too powerful." The ship's captain, a luminari named Trell, floated into the observation room. "Captain Wright, we are about to begin." "The cultural exchange presentation. The Earth diplomats are waiting," Ethan nodded. "I'll be right there." As they walked through the ship's curved hallways, Ethan marveled at how different alien design was from human ships. No sharp corners. No loud noises. Everything hummed with soft energy. The meeting room contained 5 human diplomats and 7 luminary officials. They sat around a circular table made of a material that looked like glass but felt warm to the touch. Susan Miller, the head diplomat, smiled when Ethan entered. "Captain, perfect timing. We were just discussing trade possibilities." Ethan took his seat, noticing how the humans looked both excited and uncomfortable. Being around aliens took getting used to. The meeting began smoothly. The luminary shared images of their home world, a planet with 2 suns and vast oceans of liquid that wasn't quite water. The humans presented Earth's art and music. Everyone seemed pleased. Then the ship shuddered. At first, Ethan thought it might be normal, but when he saw the luminary's light dim dramatically, he knew something was wrong. "What was that?" Susan asked. Trell pressed his long fingers against a control panel on the table. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing the space around their ship. Ethan's blood ran cold. 3 black ships surrounded them. They looked like arrowheads, sharp and deadly, with no lights or markings. "The Vex," Kellar whispered. "They found us." Trell spoke rapidly in the luminary language. Other luminary responded, their voices high and fast. Their skin barely glowed now, showing their fear. The ship shook again, harder this time. The lights flickered. "What's happening?" Ethan demanded. "Are those ships attacking us?" Trell turned to the humans, his tall frame somehow looking smaller now. "Yes. The Vex hunt us. They hunt all advanced species. They take our technology. They take our bodies." Susan gasped. "What do you mean, bodies?" "They use biological materials," Kellar explained. "They harvest organs, tissue. They incorporate what they find useful into their own forms." The ship rocked violently, throwing Ethan against the wall. Emergency lights flashed on as the main power failed. "Do you have weapons?" Ethan asked, steadying himself. "Shields?" "Minimal shields," Trell said. "No weapons. Luminary are peaceful. We never developed weapons technology." Ethan couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Then how do you survive out here?" "We hide," Keller said simply. "We run. But now we cannot run." Another blast hit the ship. This time Ethan heard the horrible sound of tearing metal. "They're cutting into the hull," he realized. "They're boarding us." The Luminari began moving quickly, though not in panic. They had a plan, but it clearly wasn't a plan to fight back. "We must get to the escape pods," Trell announced. "Some of us may survive if we scatter." Ethan grabbed the captain's arm. "That's your plan? Run and hope some of you make it?" Trell blinked his large eyes. "It is all we can do." But before anyone could move toward the escape pods, the ship's communication system crackled to life. A harsh mechanical voice spoke. "Luminari vessel, you are harvested. Resistance changes nothing. Outcome is fixed." The human diplomats looked terrified. Susan turned to Ethan. "What do we do?" Ethan's military training kicked in. He needed information. "Trell, what are these Vex? What do they want?" "They are predators," Trell explained, as the ship trembled again. "They evolved from a hunter species. They believe all other life exists to make them stronger. They take technology and biological material to improve themselves." "How many are on each ship?" Ethan asked. "Perhaps 50 warriors," Keller said. "They wear armor that enhances their strength. They carry tools that cut through almost anything." Another crash echoed through the ship, closer this time. "They're in," Ethan said grimly. He looked around at the scared faces, human and alien alike. Someone needed to take charge. "Do you have any security personnel?" Trell shook his head. "We have safety officers, but they are not fighters." Ethan made a quick decision. "Show me your engine room. Now." "Engine room?" Trell seemed confused. "Why?" "Because I'm not planning to be harvested today," Ethan said firmly. "And I need to understand what I'm working with." Keller stepped forward. "I will take you." As they hurried through the corridors, they heard strange clicking sounds in the distance. The Vex were inside the ship, searching for them. "How does your propulsion system work?" Ethan asked as they ran. "We use harmonic resonance to fold space," Keller explained. "It creates energy fields that push against the fabric of reality." They reached the engine room, a vast chamber filled with glowing crystals and humming machinery. None of it looked like anything Ethan had seen before. "Can this energy be directed?" Ethan asked, studying the setup. "Directed? I don't understand." "Focused, pointed at something. Like the Vex ships." Kellar's eyes widened. "You wish to use our engines as a weapon?" "This is not possible." Ethan met the alien's gaze. "Everything's possible when survival's on the line. And right now, your peaceful ways are going to get us all killed or worse." In the distance, they heard screams. The hunt had begun. The maintenance tunnel was narrow and dark. Ethan crawled ahead, followed by Lisa, Paul, and the 4 Luminari. The alien's natural glow provided just enough light to see. "How much farther to the command center?" Ethan whispered. 2 more junctions," Keller replied from behind him. "Then up 1 level." They had been crawling for what felt like hours, though Ethan's watch showed only 20 minutes had passed. The ship was large, and they moved slowly to avoid making noise. The walls occasionally vibrated with distant sounds of the Vex tearing through the ship. "They're methodical," Ethan observed. "Searching section by section?" "Yes," Trell agreed. "The Vex are thorough hunters. They will find everything of value before they leave." "They think like machines," Lisa added. "Every action planned and predictable." Ethan paused at a junction in the tunnel. "That's their weakness. They expect their prey to be predictable too." He looked back at the others. "But humans are anything but predictable." They reached an access panel that Kellar said would open into a corridor near the command center. "Wait," Ethan said before they opened it. "I need to explain my plan so everyone knows what to do." The group huddled close in the cramped tunnel. "The Vex don't expect us to fight back," And they definitely don't expect us to use the ship itself as a weapon, Ethan began. We're going to use that surprise to our advantage. He turned to Lisa. You said the coolant for the crystal matrices reacts with air, right? Gets hot and releases gas? She nodded. Yes, very hot. The gas is harmless to us, but it's highly flammable. And, Trell, you said you can control the air composition in different parts of the ship? The luminary captain nodded. Our environmental systems are designed to create comfortable atmospheres for different species. Perfect, Ethan said. Here's the plan. We're going to flood specific sections with that coolant gas. Then we'll use the modified energy beam we created to ignite it. You want to set the ship on fire? Paul asked, eyes wide. Only parts of it, Ethan clarified. We'll create a trap for the Vex, driving them into sections filled with gas, then ignite it. Kellar's glow pulsed with concern. This will damage our ship severely. Your ship is already lost, Ethan said gently. The question now is whether we survive to tell others about the Vex. After a moment, Trell nodded. He is right. Our ship can be replaced. Lives cannot. With their plan set, they carefully opened the access panel and emerged into a corridor. It was eerily quiet. The command center is just ahead, Kellar whispered. They moved cautiously, listening for the click of Vex feet on the metal floor. The corridor was dimly lit by emergency lights casting long shadows. As they approached the command center doors, they heard the distinctive sound of Vex communication, a series of clicks and electronic pulses. Ethan held up his hand, signaling everyone to stop. He peered around the corner and saw 2 Vex standing guard outside the command center. He pulled back and whispered, 2 guards. We need a distraction. Paul reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal object, his lighter. Will this help? Ethan smiled. It was perfect. Lisa, is there any coolant in this section? She pointed to a panel on the wall. There should be supply lines running behind these walls. Good. Can you create a small leak, just enough to draw their attention? Lisa nodded and moved to the panel. Using a tool she had brought from the engine room, she carefully removed the panel and examined the pipes behind it. This one, she whispered, pointing to a blue pipe. She made a small puncture, and blue fluid began to drip out, immediately creating wisps of gas as it contacted the air. Now we wait, Ethan said. It didn't take long. The Vex sensors detected the change in air composition. One of the guards moved toward their position to investigate. As it rounded the corner, Ethan was ready. He swung a length of pipe he had taken from the engine room, striking the Vex where its sensor cluster connected to its body. The blow didn't damage the creature, but it disrupted its balance momentarily. That moment was all Lisa needed. She threw Paul's lighter at the growing pool of coolant. The fluid ignited instantly, creating a bright blue flame that engulfed the Vex. The creature thrashed as its armor began to heat up. The second guard came to investigate, walking directly into their trap. Soon both Vex lay motionless, their systems overloaded by the intense heat. It worked, Paul said, sounding surprised. Let's move, Ethan ordered. More will come soon. They hurried into the command center. The large, circular room was empty of Vex, though signs of struggle were evident. Control panels blinked with warning lights, and one section was damaged from weapons fire. The environmental controls are here, Trell said, moving to a specific panel. What sections should we target? Ethan studied the ship schematic displayed on the main screen. The Vex seemed to be concentrating their forces here and here, he said, pointing to the cargo areas and living quarters. Let's focus on those sections. We'll need more coolant than just what's in the supply lines, Lisa pointed out. The engine room has the main reservoir. Can we remotely release it into those sections? Ethan asked. Kellar stepped forward. Yes, the coolant system can be rerouted from here, but once we do this, the engines will be permanently damaged. We were never going to fly this ship again anyway, Ethan said grimly. They worked quickly. Kellar and Trell rerouted the coolant system, while Lisa modified another control panel to create their ignition source, a spark that could be triggered remotely. The Vex are moving, Paul reported, watching the ship's internal sensors. They seem to be gathering something in the cargo bay. Or someone, Ethan said darkly. How soon can we be ready? Almost there, Lisa replied, her fingers flying over the controls. The tricky part is timing the ignition so we don't blow ourselves up too. A loud bang echoed through the command center as something heavy hit the door. They've found us, one of the Luminari whispered. Work faster, Ethan urged. The banging continued. Metal began to glow as cutting tools sliced through the door. Coolant rerouted, Kellar announced. Releasing now. On the ship schematic, sections began to glow blue as they filled with the flammable gas. Ignition system ready, Lisa said. But, Ethan, there's a problem. We need to trigger it from here, but once we do, the fire will spread fast. We might not make it out. Ethan looked at the schematics again. Is there anywhere on the ship that would be safe? Somewhere the fire can't reach? Trell pointed to a small section near the outer hull. The emergency escape pods have separate environmental systems. They would be safe. Can we get there before the Vex cut through that door? Ethan asked. There's another maintenance tunnel access point here, Kellar said, indicating a panel on the floor. The door was nearly cut through now. They could see multiple Vex on the other side, their cutting tools glowing hot. Everyone to the access point, Ethan ordered. Lisa, set the ignition delay for 2 minutes. As the others opened the floor panel and began climbing down, Lisa programmed the delay. The door burst open just as she finished. 3 Vex entered the command center, their sensors immediately locking onto the humans and Luminari. Go! Ethan shouted, pushing Lisa toward the open panel. He grabbed a tool from a nearby table and threw it at the Vex, trying to buy a few seconds. The lead Vex fired something that missed Ethan by inches. He dove for the access panel, dropping into the maintenance tunnel as more shots sizzled above him. Seal it, he yelled. Paul and one of the Luminari slammed the panel shut. It wouldn't hold the Vex for long, but they only needed 2 minutes. This way, Kellar said, leading them through the tunnel at a pace that was almost a run, though, bent over in the confined space. They emerged into a small chamber with 5 sleek pods built into the wall. The escape pods, Trell explained. Each can hold 2 or 3 people. How long until ignition? Ethan asked Lisa. She checked her watch. 30 seconds. Everyone into the pods, Ethan ordered. They quickly paired up, Lisa with Paul in one, Pod 2 Luminari in another, and Ethan with Kellar and Trell in the third. As Ethan's pod sealed shut, he looked out the small viewport. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a flash of blue light illuminated the corridor outside. The entire ship shuddered. Through the viewport, Ethan saw fire racing through the corridor, beautiful and terrible at the same time. The flames were blue and white, burning with an intensity he had never seen before. It worked, he whispered. The pod systems came online automatically. A display showed what was happening outside. The fires were spreading rapidly throughout the ship, consuming everything in their path, including the Vex. The Vex don't understand unpredictability, Ethan said to Kellar and Trell. They didn't expect their prey to become the predator. Humans truly are remarkable, Trell said, his glow brightening slightly. In all our years of running from the AO, Vex, we never considered fighting back. The ship rocked violently as systems exploded under the intense heat. Warning lights flashed on the pod's console. Hull integrity failing, Kellar reported. The ship is breaking apart. Will the pods survive? Ethan asked. They are designed to, Trell said, but we have never tested them under these conditions. Through the viewport, Ethan watched as sections of the great luminary ship tore open, venting fire and debris into space. The blue flames flickered briefly before being extinguished in the vacuum. And among the debris, he saw something else. The dark shapes of Vex, their armor glowing red from the heat. The screams grew louder. Ethan grabbed a tool from a nearby table. It wasn't a weapon, but the metal rod felt solid in his hand. Can you lock this door? He asked Kellar. The Luminari pressed his hand against a panel. The door slid shut with a soft hiss. It will not hold them long, Kellar said. His blue skin barely glowed now. The Vex have cutters that will slice through it. Then we don't have much time, Ethan said. Show me exactly how your engines work. Kellar hesitated. Captain Wright, you must understand. The Luminari have never used technology to harm others. It goes against everything we believe. And what? Do you believe will happen if the Vex catch us? Ethan demanded. Before Keller could answer, the door slid open. Ethan raised his makeshift weapon, but relaxed when he saw Lisa Sawyer, the engineer from the human diplomatic team. Her dark hair was messy, and her eyes were wide with fear. Captain Wright, she gasped. They're taking people. The Vex. They're collecting them. Behind her stood 2 more humans and 3 Luminari, including Captain Trell. Get in here, Ethan said, ushering them inside. Kellar locked the door again. Trell approached Ethan. Many of our crew are already taken. We heard their screams then. Silence. The other human diplomats? Ethan asked. Lisa shook her head. Susan and Greg were captured. I don't know about the others. Ethan took a deep breath. Listen to me. The Vex expect you to hide or run. They don't expect you to fight back. That's our advantage. But we cannot fight, Trell insisted. We have no weapons. We have your engines, Ethan said. And we have human ingenuity. He turned to Lisa. You're an engineer. Have you seen how their propulsion system works? Lisa nodded. A little. The Luminari use crystal matrices to channel energy. They create fields that bend space itself. Can we redirect that energy? Ethan asked. Turn it into something offensive? Lisa's eyes widened. You want to weaponize their drive system? Exactly. One of the other humans, a young man named Paul, stepped forward. That's crazy, we're diplomats, not soldiers. And I'm a soldier telling you we're out of options, Ethan said firmly. The Vex are harvesting people right now. We either figure this out or we're next. A loud bang echoed against the door. Everyone jumped. They've found us, Trell whispered. Ethan turned to Lisa. What do you need to make this work? Lisa ran her hand through her hair, thinking fast. I'd need to understand their crystal configuration better, and we'd need to redirect the energy flow somehow. Kellar moved toward the main engine control panel. I can help with that. But I must warn you, this is very dangerous. The energy fields are powerful. If we destabilize them incorrectly, we could destroy the ship. Better that than letting the Vex take us, Ethan said. The banging on the door grew louder. Metal started to glow red as something cut through it. Work fast, Ethan told Lisa and Keller. We don't have much time. Ethan gathered the others. We need to slow them down. Find anything we can use as a barrier or a weapon. The humans and Luminari began searching the engine room. They found tools, spare parts, and containers of various liquids. What's in these? Paul asked, holding up a container with glowing blue fluid. Coolant for the crystal matrices, Trell explained. It is highly reactive with air. Ethan took the container. Reactive how? It becomes very hot and produces gas. A plan formed in Ethan's mind. How many of these containers do we have? Trell pointed to a storage area. Many. Why? Because we're going to make a trap, Ethan said. While Lisa and Keller worked on the engine, Ethan directed the others to set up barriers using heavy equipment. They placed containers of coolant in strategic locations. The door was nearly cut. Through now, red-hot metal dripped onto the floor. Lisa, how's it coming? Ethan called. We're close, she said, not looking up from her work. Kellar figured out how to redirect the energy flow through a secondary matrix, but we don't know if it will work as a weapon. It has to, Ethan said. With a loud crash, a piece of the door fell inward. Through the gap, Ethan caught his first glimpse of a Vex. It was unlike anything he had imagined. The creature stood on 6 legs, its body covered in black armor that seemed to absorb light. Where its face should be, there was only a cluster of sensors. Mechanical arms extended from its torso, ending in tools that looked like weapons. Everyone get back, Ethan ordered. The Vex began cutting a larger hole in the door. Soon, 3 of them entered the engine room. They moved with unnatural precision, scanning the room with their sensors. Ethan and the others hid behind the barriers they had built. He gripped a metal pipe, though he knew it would do little against the armored creatures. One of the Vex spotted them. It made a series of clicking sounds, and all three began moving toward their position. "Lisa," Ethan hissed. "We need that weapon now." "Almost there," she called back. She and Kellar worked frantically at the control panel. The Vex approached, their metal feet clicking against the floor. They showed no hurry, no concern. They moved like hunters who knew their prey was trapped. "Now," Ethan yelled. Paul and one of the Luminary pushed over a shelf, blocking the Vex's path. Ethan threw a tool at the coolant container he had placed nearby. The container cracked, spilling blue liquid that immediately began to steam and bubble. The Vex paused, their sensors focused on this unexpected development. The steam grew thicker, filling part of the engine room with blue fog. "It's ready," Lisa shouted, "but I don't know how to aim it." Ethan ran to her position, ducking as one of the Vex fired something that sizzled past his head. Lisa and Kellar had modified the control panel. Crystals that normally channeled energy for propulsion were now pointing inward, focused on a central point. "How do I direct it?" Ethan asked. Kellar pointed to a holographic display. "Move your hand here. The energy will follow." Ethan placed his hand on the display. He could feel warmth beneath his palm. "Everyone get down," he shouted. The Vex pushed through the barrier and fog, advancing relentlessly. Ethan moved his hand on the display, pointing toward the Vex. He pressed down firmly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crystals glowed intensely bright. A beam of pure energy shot from the central point, following Ethan's direction. It struck the lead Vex directly. The creature froze, its armor heating to red, then white-hot. It made no sound as it collapsed, its systems failing. The other Vex stepped back, seemingly confused by this unexpected resistance. "It worked," Lisa exclaimed. But their victory was short-lived. The crystals began to crack from the strain of channeling energy in a way they weren't designed for. "We can't maintain this," Kellar warned. "The Matrix is destabilizing." More Vex appeared at the door. Their clicking communication sounded faster now, more urgent. "We need another plan," Ethan said, releasing the control. The energy beam faded. He looked around the engine room, noticing how the coolant had created a thick fog. An idea struck him. "The atmosphere controls," he said suddenly. "Can we change the air composition in specific sections of the ship?" Trell nodded. "Yes, we can." "Why?" "Because I think I know how to turn this whole ship into a weapon," Ethan said grimly. "But we need to get to the command center." The Vex were regrouping, more cautious now. They hadn't expected resistance, especially not effective resistance. "We can use the maintenance tunnels," Kellar suggested. "They run throughout the ship." "Show me," Ethan said. As they prepared to leave, Ethan looked at the fallen Vex. For the first time since the attack began, he felt a glimmer of hope. The hunters could be hurt, and if they could be hurt, they could be beaten. They just needed to change the rules of the hunt. The escape pod tumbled through space, spinning slowly away from the burning wreckage of the Luminary ship. Inside, Ethan, Kellar, and Trell watched in silence as their blue flames consumed what remained of the once beautiful vessel. "The other pods?" Ethan asked, scanning the viewport. Kellar checked the small control panel. "I detect both. They launched successfully." A sense of relief washed over Ethan, but it didn't last long. The 3 Vex hunter ships still loomed nearby, their black hulls absorbing the light from the burning Luminary ship. "They're not leaving," Ethan observed. "Why aren't they leaving?" "They have not finished their hunt," Trell said grimly. "The Vex never abandon prey once they have targeted it." "But we destroyed their boarding parties," Ethan argued. "Those were merely tools," Kellar explained. "The true Vex consciousness resides in the hunter ships themselves. What you saw were just extensions, drones controlled by the central mind." Ethan frowned. "So the real enemy is still out there?" "Yes," Trell confirmed, "and they will come for us soon." As if on cue, one of the hunter ships began to move toward the scattered escape pods. Its sleek, arrow-like shape reminded Ethan of ancient predators from Earth's oceans, sharks gliding through dark water. Can these pods defend themselves? Ethan asked, already knowing the answer. No, Trell said. They are designed only for survival and communication. Communication? Ethan sat up straighter. Can we contact Earth or any nearby ships? Kellar gestured to a crystal panel on the wall. This is a subspace communicator. It can send messages faster than light. But any ship would be days away at best. We don't need rescue, Ethan said, an idea forming in his mind. We need to finish what we started. He turned to his alien companions. You said the Vex central consciousness is in the Hunter ships themselves? Trell nodded. Yes, the ships and the Vex are one entity. The drones are just extensions. And what powers these ships? What's their weakness? Kellar's glow pulsed thoughtfully. The Luminari have studied the Vex for centuries, though from a distance. We know their central processing nodes generate extreme heat. They require constant cooling to function. Ethan smiled grimly. Heat. Again, it comes down to heat. He looked out at the approaching Hunter ship. We hurt them with fire once. Let's do it again. But how? Trell asked. We have no weapons, no ship. Ethan pointed to the communicator. Can we contact the other pods? Kellar activated the crystal panel. Soon, Lisa's voice came through. Ethan, are you okay? We're fine, he replied, but not for long. The Hunter ships are coming for us. We see them, Lisa said. Paul thinks they're going to capture the pods rather than destroy them. They still want specimens. Ethan suppressed a shudder at the thought. Listen carefully. I have a plan, but I need to know. What do we have in these pods? Any tools? Supplies? There was a pause as Lisa and Paul checked their pod. In the other pod, the two Luminari did the same. We have survival supplies, Lisa reported. Food, water, medical kits, some basic tools for pod maintenance. Our pod contains similar items, one of the Luminari from the third pod added, plus emergency propulsion cells for maneuvering. Propulsion cells? Ethan perked up. How do they work? They use a miniature version of our harmonic resonance technology, Kelly. Ethan woke to the sound of steady beeping. His body felt heavy and pain throbbed dully in his head. He opened his eyes slowly, blinking against bright light. He's awake, a voice said. A face came into view. Human, wearing a medical uniform. The woman smiled down at him. Captain Wright. Welcome back. Ethan tried to speak, but his throat was dry. The doctor helped him sip water through a straw. Where am I? He finally managed. The ESF Defender, she replied. Earth Space Force Medical Bay. Ethan's memories came flooding back. The Luminary ship, the Vex attack, the escape pods, the explosion. Kellar? Trell? The others? The doctor's smile widened. All alive. The Luminari heal differently than humans, but they're recovering well. Relief washed over Ethan. Then confusion. How did you find us? A new voice answered from the doorway. Your distress signal led us right to you. A man in an Earth Space Force commander's uniform entered the room. His gray hair and lined face spoke of years of experience. Commander Ben Harris, he introduced himself. You've caused quite a stir, Captain Wright. Ethan tried to sit up, but the doctor gently pushed him back. Rest, she ordered. You've been unconscious for 3 days. 3 days? Ethan was shocked. What happened after the explosion? Commander Harris pulled up a chair next to the bed. Your escape pod was thrown clear when the Vex ship blew apart. The pod's emergency beacon activated automatically. We picked up all 3 pods floating among the debris. And the other Vex ships? Harris's expression turned serious. That's where things get interesting. When the first Hunter ship exploded, it created some kind of chain reaction. The debris hit the second ship, damaging it severely. The third ship retreated immediately. They ran? Ethan couldn't believe it. Yes, according to the Luminary, that's unprecedented. The Vex have never retreated from prey before. Ethan took a moment to process this information. I need to see the others, he said. The doctor hesitated, but Commander Harris nodded. A short visit won't hurt. With help, Ethan was moved to a wheelchair. The doctor wheeled him down the corridor to another section of the medical bay. In a large room with several beds, Ethan found the survivors. Lisa and Paul sat talking quietly. The two Luminari from the third pod stood nearby, their blue glow, strong and healthy. And in beds similar to Ethan's, Kellar and Trell rested. "Ethan," Lisa exclaimed when she saw him. She rushed over and hugged him carefully. "We thought we'd lost you. It'll take more than exploding alien ships to get rid of me," Ethan joked, though his voice was still weak. Kellar raised his long hand in greeting from his bed. His blue glow pulsed stronger when he saw Ethan. "The human warrior returns," he said warmly. Trell was sleeping, his shoulder wrapped in some kind of glowing bandage. "How is he?" Ethan asked. "He will recover fully," Kellar assured him. "Luminari heal quickly with proper care." Commander Harris entered the room behind them. "Now that you're all awake and on the mend, I need to understand exactly what happened out there. We've heard the Luminari version, but I'd like to hear yours, Captain Wright." So Ethan told the story, with the others adding details he missed. He explained how they had weaponized the Luminari technology to fight back against the Vex, first by redirecting the ship's engines, and later with the propulsion cells. When he finished, Harris shook his head in amazement. "You took a species that had never developed weapons and showed them how to fight back against their oldest enemy. That's remarkable." "It was necessary," Ethan said simply. "The Vex didn't give us a choice." "Nevertheless, you've changed the balance of power out there," Harris said. "The Luminary High Council has been in constant communication since we reported your rescue." "Are they angry?" Ethan asked, looking at Kellar. The Luminary scientist made a sound that might have been laughter. "Quite the opposite. They are evolving their thinking. Your actions have forced my people to reconsider our approach to the Vex threat. And they want more," Harris added. "They've formally requested a military alliance with Earth." "An alliance?" Lisa asked, surprised. "The first of its kind between our species," Harris confirmed. "They believe human ingenuity combined with Luminary technology could be the key to ending the Vex threat permanently." Ethan wasn't sure how to feel about this development. He hadn't set out to forge an alliance or start a war. He just wanted to survive. "What happens now?" he asked. Harris looked at him with respect. "Now, you rest and recover. But after that, the Joint Chiefs want you involved in the alliance negotiations. Your experience with both the Luminari and the Vex makes you uniquely qualified." "There's something else," Kellar said, his voice taking on a formal tone. "The Luminary High Council has bestowed upon you the title of Flame Bearer. It is the highest honor my people can give to a non-Luminary." "Flame Bearer?" Ethan repeated. "One who brings light where there was darkness," Kellar explained. "One who shows the way forward." "I just did what anyone would do," Ethan protested. Paul shook his head. "No, you didn't. The rest of us were ready to hide or surrender. You found a way to fight back." Commander Harris stood. "Rest now, all of you. There will be time for honors and alliances later." As the others settled back into their beds or chairs, Ethan stared out the viewport at the stars. Somewhere out there, the remaining Vex ships were retreating, running from prey that had suddenly, unexpectedly, become predators. 2 weeks later, Ethan stood in formal uniform aboard the newly commissioned ESF Luminary vessel Flame Bearer. The ship combined Earth military design with Luminary technology, creating something entirely new. Beside him stood Kellar, now serving as the Luminary liaison officer. The roles had been reversed. Now it was a Luminary serving on a mostly human ship. "Are you nervous?" Ethan asked as they prepared for their first mission. Kellar's glow pulsed with what Ethan had come to recognize as amusement. "Should I be? I have the famous Flame Bearer to protect me." Ethan shook his head. He still wasn't comfortable with the title. "I'm just a soldier who got lucky." "No," Kellar said firmly. "You are the one who taught my people that peace is not always achieved through avoidance of conflict. Sometimes peace must be defended with fire." The ship's commander, a veteran named Sam Foster, approached them. Captain Wright, we're ready to depart. All systems check out. Then let's not keep the Vex waiting, Ethan replied. Intelligence reports showed that the Vex had changed their hunting patterns, avoiding areas of space known to be occupied by humans, but they were still out there, still hunting other species. The Flame Bearer would be the first of many joint ships tasked with finding and eliminating the Vex threat. Humans and Luminary working together, the hunters becoming the hunted. As the Yao ship prepared to leave Earth orbit, Ethan thought about how quickly things had changed. Just weeks ago, he had been a simple liaison officer, helping with cultural exchange. Now he was heading into battle against an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. You're thinking deeply, Kellar observed. Just wondering what? We'll find out there, Ethan admitted. Whatever it is, Kellar said, we will face it together. Human adaptability and luminary technology, the Vex won't know what hit them. The Flamebearer engaged its engines. The same harmonic resonance technology that Ethan had once weaponized, now refined and improved. The ship moved smoothly away from Earth, heading toward distant stars. On the bridge, humans and Luminary worked, side by side, their differences complementing each other. What one lacked, the other provided. The peaceful, technologically advanced Luminary had found their protectors in humans, and humans had found allies who could help them reach further into space than ever before. Commander Foster turned to Ethan. Course is set. Any final words before we jump? Ethan looked out at the stars, thinking of the hunter ships that had once seemed so terrifying. Yes, he said quietly. Let's bring them fire. The Flamebearer accelerated, leaving Earth behind. Ahead lay unknown dangers and challenges, but also the promise of a new future, one where humanity and the Luminary worked together to ensure that no species would ever again live in fear of the hunters. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Vex ships changed course, moving away from human-occupied sectors for the first time in their long history of hunting. The predators had learned what it meant to feel fear,